Welcome to the Gaming Outsider Podcast. This week we're welcoming special guest Tracy Brinkmann from the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast to talk about games that involve running a shop or some other kind of business. In news, there's a lot of drama surrounding the voice of Darth Vader's presence in Fortnite, but maybe not for the reasons you'd expect. We've got a ton of new games we've been playing as well. I'm loving the Xbox port of Shovel Knight Dig, and I've also been playing a game called Haneda Girl on my Steam Deck. Plus, a few of our writers stopped by to tell us about their time with games like Morhoon Part 4, Roadcraft, Copycat, Trident's Tale, and Etheria Restart. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com, facebook.com/groups/thegocast, or our Discord server, which is live and thriving, and there's a link for that in the show notes of this very episode. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me on May 27th, 2025, first off, Jake Gunderson. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. If I could stop double talking, it'd be fantastic. Also, Chris Behrensmeyer's here. What's up, man?
I want to live in 2020, 25.
That'd be great.
25.
We're in the future. Unfortunately, Zach is not able to join us this week. He is still out with some personal things going on, but we hope to have him back next week. With that said, we do have a special guest. This is 2 weeks in a row that we have a guest from the Radcast Network. It gives me great pleasure to welcome a fellow Radcast Network podcaster and host of Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast, Tracy Brinkmann. Tracy, how you doing?
Man, I am three shades of wonderful. Scott, how about yourself?
I am doing all right. It is the last week of school, so you know what that means. Summer break, and I don't get to play games nearly as much as I say I'm going to every year.
That just means your honey-do list gets longer and longer and longer.
Exactly. Well, Tracy, I'm curious about your podcast. I know we've listened to some here, but for our listeners who are not familiar, what is Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast? Can you tell us about it?
For the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast is for those folks that feel like they're the dark horses. Oh, we just had someone drop out down there. But like those underdogs out there. And so we focus on our parent entrepreneurs that are trying to, crack out of that 9 to 5, make that cubicle escape. And so we try to give them some words of wisdom every week, either from myself or from a guest.
That's awesome, man. I think you and I should talk because it's not a cubicle escape or a 9 to 5 escape. It is a classroom escape. I would love to do my own thing. Don't get me wrong. I love teaching, but it is getting harder and harder every year. So where can everybody check out that show?
They can check it out at darkhorseschooling.com or any one of the major podcast platforms. We're on all of them.
Sounds good. Well, let's get into some of the video games that we've been catching up on. Now, we talked before we started recording that you were a bit of an old school gamer like the three of us. But what have you been catching up on lately?
The most recent has been Dungeons and Dragons Online. Okay.
This is on PC or?
It is on PC, yeah. And I know it's on also other platforms, but I play DDO on the PC. Just sit there while TV's going and do the keyboard manipulations, which is a lot different for, some of us that grew up with, joysticks and trackballs and handheld controllers.
So Tracy, you're a big D&D fan, I assume.
I love D&D from way back. I used to be a dungeon master.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
Well, the three of us are in a campaign. I'm in my first campaign ever playing D&D with these guys, and as well as two others. Kevin, our producer, is actually our DM, and we are having quite a bit of fun with it when we get to play. It's been a while, but the reason I got excited when you said Dungeons and Dragons Online, which I've never played, is I've got something to share with you. If you like video games and you like D&D, let me tell you about Baldur's Gate 3, which we did play this week a little bit, but seriously, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you should look into Baldur's Gate 3. It is straight up 5e in digital format.
So we made it officially 4 minutes and 15 seconds before we said Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, we had to bring it up at some point. We talk about it a lot on this podcast, but
you talk about it a lot.
Hey, that's all I'm going to say. Except we did play with Zach this week.
So
he had a really good time.
Like the game?
I've already. Well, let me put it this way. We talked about it a lot last year because I was going through playing with Kevin and a couple other people, and we were talking about it every week, and I was kind of giving a spoilery discussion of what was happening in my campaign, and it took over a year for me to get through the game, and I'm on my second time through that game with Kevin again, but with my other co-host Zach, who's not here, and Jake, who I did not play with the first time around. So it's really fun playing through the game through a different person's eyes, and I just want to recommend it to you if you like D&D at all. It's really, really solid.
I'll have to give it a look. See.
Yeah, Jake, what about you?
Huh?
What have you? What have you
I
been
stopped.
playing?
Oh, I've been playing Helldivers too. If there's any Helldivers that are listening, get on. We have lost Super Earth. We are failing. We are dying. It's almost over. The current objective for the next 3 days is just to hold Super Earth, and that's it. There's nothing else.
I've still never played Helldivers, so this is because it's a community-based game. Everybody has to get online to do whatever objective the creators have put forth, and people are falling off the game, it sounds like.
Last I checked, there was 100,000 people playing, and that was just last night. So
only.
Yeah. So it's a good number, but it was not enough to finish an objective.
So this is a call to arms from Jacob Gunderson for democracy.
For managed democracy.
All right. I was really tempted, but I just don't have enough time to get into another game, especially one that I have to keep going like that. So
obviously.
Well, Aaron Hughes has a question for you. How's the Super Earth update?
I really like it a lot. However, there's the weapons customizations that they don't talk about enough. They're really cool, but all of your weapons, no matter how much you've used them, start at level 1, so you have to basically re-level them or continue to use them to actually get the customizations going. But one frustrating glitch that I have found is for some reason your weapons do not like to reload. When you press reload, you have to switch weapons and switch back, and then you can reload them. I don't know if it's something with just some kind of glitch or whatnot, but yeah, you gotta change animations. It's weird.
You just have it on hard mode, I think.
Yeah, the game just doesn't. No reloading for you. You're done.
No.
All right. Well, CB, what about you?
Oh man, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Tell us what you've been playing.
Well, first off, I want to talk about my surprise new edition.
What does that mean?
I got a dev kit.
You got a dev kit?
I got a dev kit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
I got a PlayStation 2 developer console.
Oh.
I remember you sharing this on our group chat.
Yep.
How did you acquire this thing?
A friend. That's all we're gonna say.
That's all. Okay. All right.
I know a guy.
Also, when I saw what was in his personal collection, and he goes, "You want one?" And I'm like, "Yes." And it just happens to be from Midway Games.
Oh.
So, and there may or may not have been a game inside it.
Can you tell us what game was inside it?
Nope.
Really?
I cannot.
Oh my!
Because
goodness.
I'm debating on what I'm going to do with it.
Okay.
So
I'm really curious. We're going to have to talk once we're off air because I need to know. On there.
But yeah, so I hung out with one of my friends who also sells retro games. Gave me a bunch of stuff to repair, so I'm excited. I may have a lot of stuff if I can get it done for R2V2 that will be available for purchase.
Nice.
Also, I thought my personal collection, big. His collection of stuff for sale, insane.
Bigger than your collection?
It's on par.
Wow.
It's not like not as many individual titles, but it's just like, oh yes, here's a stack of like 300 Nintendos for sale. And I'm like, that's disgusting. Thank you.
I mean,
so
pick him up. We'll sell him at R2V2.
Working on it. So, other than that, games I've actually been playing, I finished Space Marine 2.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised it took you that long with how obsessed you are with 40K right now.
Well, that was I kind of dove back in and started fresh because I wanted to go through the game and like look at all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say now that I have a background in the lore, like that game goes deep.
Yeah.
It goes real deep.
I did not make it. How long is that game?
It's probably like 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, that's not as nearly as long.
Dude,
as
it's not bad.
Yeah,
so
the campaign is pretty short. It's the multiplayer afterwards that drags you out.
But I play the whole campaign co-op too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Can't you play the campaign co-op as well?
Yeah.
We should do that.
We really should.
Yeah.
Because I would enjoy playing it again.
Okay. What else?
But I'm excited because the way it ends, we already know Space Marine 3 is coming. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go. Other than that, I cracked into Doom the Dark Ages.
I'm really curious to see what you think about Doom the Dark Ages.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I know. I knew you would.
But it definitely plays. At first, I thought it played slower. But then once you figure out how to combo off, that game is so frenetic. I think it's actually faster than Doom Eternal.
No way. Come on. Really?
What difficulty are you playing on, Scott?
Hurt me plenty.
Okay. So I'm playing on it too, but
that sounds like something I tell my wife.
There are ways that, like, if you use you haven't finished the first mission, have you finished the first mission?
Yes.
Just the first mission.
Just the first mission.
Okay. It gets faster.
Okay.
What are you, like 4 minutes in, Scott?
That first level's a good half hour, 45 if you're looking for everything like I was.
Yeah, well, let me look around every single corner.
Doom guy's walking around with a shield in one hand, a shotgun, and a checkbook.
Yeah,
trying to
it's like mapping it out.
Turn left at first corner.
And to be fair, Aaron Hughes does say twice, because I did play it through on console, and then I went over to his house and played through it the first level a second time on PC, just because I wanted to compare. But
okay,
anyway.
But yeah,
had you got to the third stage yet with the mech?
I'm just at the start of the third one.
Okay, because I keep hearing bad things about the mech suit, and I really want to, like, when you get there, let me know how it is. I guess I should just play it myself.
I'll probably be there before the end of the night.
All right, there you go. Let me know.
But yeah, the additional weapons, how the weapons are different from the last two games. That shield is ridiculous.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Because you've only started to what the shield can do.
Well, because you get an upgrade where, like, it gets teeth on the outside of it, and then it becomes a chainsaw, right? Is that what you're talking about?
There's more.
There's more. Okay.
You haven't yet to start collecting gold. Gold can buy you additional things.
I need to get back into it. There's just so many games to play. I say that every week, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I was like, okay, I want to finish Space Marine 2, cleared it off hard drive. Like, I'm now to the point that I want to start just making room on my Xbox, because unfortunately it's full.
Yeah.
So it's finish a game, keep playing on something current. So Space Marine 2 is done. Doom the Dark Ages will probably be done within the next few days.
I mean, it's only 20 hours. You could have that by tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my secret time sink is infinite. But yeah, other than that, oh yeah, and then of course, Warhammer Tabletop is great.
Gotcha. All right, I want to talk about a couple games very quickly. The big one I want to mention is Pinball Spire. Now, if you guys remember, I talked about this game last year. I think it was like October. I played it on Steam Deck. Really enjoyed it. It's a pinball. I wouldn't call it gear gated or Metroidvania, but it reminds me of you remember like Metroid Pinball or Mario Pinball Land on the Game Boy, where it's like you're just constantly trying to go up and up and up.
Or Sonic Pinball.
Or Sonic Spinball, yes. Very, very much like that deal, but even those games were still very point-based. This one's not point-based. It's just playing digital pinball where you're trying to figure out the trick to get to the level above and beyond. And I loved it and thought I was done with it. And the developer reached out to me personally this weekend and said, hey, guess what? The game is coming to Switch on May 29th. Would you be willing to review it for, on the Gaming Outsider? And I said, absolutely. So he sent me a code for this game, and I played through the entire thing yesterday, and it's just as great. It is such a great little 3-4 hour game. It's what Zach refers to as a great weekend game, and I really, really enjoy it. I feel like me being a pinball fan, I'm obviously going to like it, but I feel like a lot of the pinball people that I talk to or look at this and say they're not interested because it's not realistic physics like they get in Pinball FX, and I think they're missing out on that because it really is a sweet little game. And I would really encourage people to check it out either on Steam or on Switch when it comes out on the 29th. It's like $15, and it's just a delightful little game. I highly recommend it. So Pinball Spire, and I've been talking with the developer all weekend, and he's just a really, really cool guy from Canada. Outside of that, I've still got a few weeks left of Apple Arcade. So I've been playing some Dicey Dungeons, Space Invaders, Infinity Gene Evolve. CB, if this game is on Android, you need to find this game. It is. You remember how like Atari did those versions of Pac-Man, like Pac-Man, what was it, 264 or whatever, or
256?
No, there was a secret level that was 256, I think, in there. But like, what was the Pac-Man Extreme one that was? It was super fast, or Space Invaders Extreme, and all these games. This is kind of like that, but it plays more like Galaga, in that your ship does not just go left to right; it actually goes up and down. Maybe not original Galaga, but like Galaga 2, I think you could actually move the ship up and down, couldn't you?
Galaga 3.
Galaga 3. So you've got a little bit more, but it's got the psychedelic visuals and soundtrack that is just thumping, and it seems like just a score grab game that I think you would really enjoy. So keep an eye on that one. I think you'd dig it. I also tried out Katamari Damacy. How do you pronounce that? Katamari Damacy. Is it Damacy? Rolling Live, which is a Katamari game that is on Apple Arcade. I just had to try it. It's got the same theme song from the original Katamari that I'm going to have stuck in my head now the rest of the night. Thank you very much. And it does work pretty well using touch controls. I was surprised at how well it works. Charming. If you like that style of game, it's really great. So that's the games we've been catching up on. What do you guys say we go ahead and jump into the week's news?
News.
First off, got some trailers that popped up this week. Trailers for games called Zombie Cure Lab, Tabletop Gaming Simulator, How to Escape Lost Submarine, Try Survive, Trident's Tale, which you're going to hear about shortly, Military Incremental Complex on PC, and Dunk City Dynasty on mobile. As for news, Death Stranding 2 has a world tour that they announced this past week where they're trying to show off that game. Stalker Legends of the Zone has an enhanced edition out now. Antstream Arcade is available on Xbox Game Pass. Now, that does not include the entire library, but the ones that Microsoft actually owns. You can download that now if you have Game Pass at no additional cost. Also, Nintendo released 4 new Game Boy games on Nintendo Switch Online for expansion pass subscribers. The Street Fighter movie is still happening and looks to have added some star power. And lastly, SAG-AFTRA is after Epic Games and its use of AI with its recent addition of Darth Vader's voice. Tracy, you are a guest. Which story seems very interesting to you that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'm the entrepreneur. I'd have to go after that simulator. I think that's kind of a business angle thing.
Simulator,
that tabletop simulator, isn't that the one where they're trying to build that storefront in the game?
Yes, it is a tabletop game store simulator. So where you're actually managing a shop of selling games. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about that for a topic.
Yeah, well, we if we want to hold off and talk about that for the topic, I just thought that was cool. And depending on how well I'm going to use the term algorithm in the game logic in it is, it could be very learning as opposed to just entertaining, right? Because if you think about stores like Price Club and Costco, when you walk in the store, they have a psychology behind how they lay things out, right? Which if the game utilizes that same kind of logic and you know what that logic is, well, then you can use that to really leverage and, point up the game. Like Costco purposefully puts the diamond rings and the high end cameras and the big ticket items right there when you walk in, and you can only walk in that one spot, so you have to walk past them, and you see $6,000 and $5,000 and $3,000, and they do this on purpose so that when you get further into the aisles and you see $99.99,
that seems like a steal
for your favorite coffee maker, your brain's going, oh, well, that's actually pretty relevant. Whereas if you hadn't seen a $6,000 this and a $5,000 that and a $3,000 this, you'd see that first price and go, I don't know if I really want to spend $100 on a coffee maker. You know what I'm saying? So they actually do a lot of logic behind that. I've been in this game way too long, so I don't want to geek out on it too much. So if the game uses that kind of logic inside, that kind of psychology for the customers that come in so that you could level up faster, there could be some fun entrepreneurial learning involved in a game like that.
I was actually going to bring up later in the episode that a lot of these games are more rudimentary than an actual like business would be. And so
kind of sad.
Like someone as involved into businesses as yourself would probably find it extremely frustrating to play a business simulator like these.
I know some of the simulators I've played have been, you're right, that's not how they're designed. They're designed for entertainment value. There was one I played, it was a few years ago. I think it was Monopoly Tycoon, right? And instead of playing the Monopoly board, you were actually trying to build a little mini empire on one of the color sections. So you'd have St. Louis and the other two of the cards of the same color, and you're going in there and you would have to set up apartments and food and entertainment, and you had to watch all the metrics and what your residents wanted in the area and build it, and you had to manage your money and you had to manage your everything to do that. Now that game sucked me in for many hours because it had all those, not everything, but it had a lot of that real world business stuff that you have to pay attention to in the real world, and they put it into the game in a very entertaining way.
You know what game I think you would like, Tracy, and I haven't even played it, but just from what I've heard of it, is called EVE Online, which is basically, Jake, you look like you think I'm crazy.
No? Continue.
So EVE Online has an online economy. Like it's there's lots of trading. I mean, you're basically shipping things from one end to the other, and you actually do fly them at some point, I think. If I'm speaking out of line here, Jake, correct me, because again, I haven't played it.
It does exist in EVE Online. It also exists in oh god, what's the other? I played it for years, and all of a sudden, like the name just blanks. But yeah, it does exist in there.
But it feels like you're running a business.
He had I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the game all of a sudden.
He'll be playing Doom tonight, and all of a sudden it'll pop into his head, and he'll text it to one of you.
But I mean, people have lovingly joked about that game being the spreadsheet simulator because you were constantly looking at tables and comparing things and trading and all that. Jake?
So one of my favorite stories that came out a few years ago on Elite Dangerous. It is okay, that's the game you were thinking of. There you have to bring fuel on your spaceships to go from planet to planet to planet or whatever. And in game, someone made a business to basically rescue ships. So they had certain ships that brought extra fuel, and they'd have people pay them in game to run out to them, refuel them, and then bring them back
with in-game currency.
Yeah, with like in-game stuff. So you have this game that just facilitated this openness to allow people to experiment and make things in the game enough to where these people actually made a business that was completely outside the realm of the game in game to help other players out.
Well,
that's cool.
Elite Dangerous actually even goes as far as like you can play the game in different routes. Like you can actually complete the game without ever firing a shot and just do the entire economy route.
Right.
Wow.
So it is quite possibly one of the most in-depth, insane games. Within humanity's lifetime, it's just like No Man's Sky. Within humanity's lifetime, we'll never be able to visit all the planets that exist inside that game.
It's just how massive it is. It's crazy.
I pulled it up on my screen here so I wouldn't forget about it.
And Tracy, you'd be surprised how many of these business simulation games there are out there. I know we're going to get to some more later on, but I mean, just look up the word simulator on Steam's website, and it's just insane. I'm again, we'll talk more about them later.
Sure.
But, there's lots of them there. But let's move on to the news. Jake, what story would you like to talk about, sir?
What is it? SAG-AFTRA is going after Epic Games for the use of the AI. My kid has been, I wouldn't say talking about it nonstop, but the use of the Darth Vader voice is getting ridiculous because they are making it swear, they are making it say slurs, they are making it say some completely outrageous things. And as soon as I found out they were using AI to replicate his voice, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be an issue. They're going to go after them.
So just to catch everybody up, yes, Darth Vader is a playable character in Fortnite, and the voice is AI generated, but it is based off of James Earl Jones's voice. So his family did give permission, saying, quote, James Earl felt that the voice of Darth Vader was inseparable from the story of Star Wars, and he always wanted fans of all ages to continue to experience it. We hope that this collaboration with Fortnite will allow both longtime fans of Darth Vader and newer generations to share in the excitement of this iconic character, unquote. So again, they have his family's blessing to do this, including using AI, right? That is what's important.
That is part of what was originally signed.
I understand, Aaron, that Epic isn't making him say these things, but there's no filters on the AI to keep it from saying these things, which is Epic's fault. Epic should have safeguards in there to make sure that when you have a player come up and go, "Hey, say this," the AI goes, "I can't say that."
But there should be better policing with it.
Yes.
Right. So again, this voice it's not like just pre-recorded lines of James Earl Jones or even AI generated voice of these same lines. You literally talk to Darth Vader and have a conversation with him while you're in a match with him, but it's just an AI voice that's coming back. So people have tried to figure out ways to make Darth Vader curse and use slurs and do all this stuff that I have to imagine James Earl Jones's family did not realize that's what they were signing up for.
No, they I'm assuming that. Years ago, they used to have an AI that you could talk to called iGod online. And that was back when I was in high school. So that was like 15 years ago or something. And you could
know where you're going with this.
Oh, I don't know. But we would talk to it, and it was very rudimentary. It was very, very simple. You would say something and then it would come back with its normal line with a expression that you had just said. And so eventually we would have contests to see how fast we could break the AI to come out and admit that it was a robot or that it was a computer program or whatever. And it took a little working around to get the algorithm to admit that it was not fully whatever. But I mean, come on, this is much more sophisticated than what we had back then. And like, we're breaking it. We're breaking it in a way that it shouldn't be allowed.
I mean, it would be hard to not. If I'm playing, I don't play Fortnite, but if I played Fortnite and I could talk to Darth Vader, I'm going to see what goofy stuff I can get him to say too. That's just the 13-year-old boy in me that's going to do that, right?
Right.
It's not going to happen. But interestingly enough, that's not the issue that SAG-AFTRA has with this being here. They are concerned that this AI voice is replacing bargained union voice work without notice, which is against the agreement that they've got. So even though they've got the permission from the family to do this, there are voice actors out there that can imitate Darth Vader decently or imitate James Earl Jones as Darth Vader.
Yeah. What about the guy who did Mufasa?
Okay. All right.
You mean James Earl Jones?
I really thought you were being dumb. I was like, did you know that's the same guy, right? Like,
I'm going to be the bad guy here for a second.
Okay.
SAG-AFTRA can piss off.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. Nope. This is not an opinion of the Gaming Outsider or any subsidiaries of. This is my own personal opinion.
Be at thegamingoutsider.com.
I'm sorry, but every now and then there does come a point in pop culture where something becomes so identifiable with the source media that it is impossible to separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
James Earl Jones has voiced Darth Vader since 1977
Mhm.
and has his family, his legacy, his estate wants that to continue. The fact that they want to remove someone's memory from a character to make someone else a dollar.
Yeah.
Piss off.
Yeah, I have to agree with Chris on that one, because you're not stealing from somebody if it's not their work. If Scott went out there and he voiced a character and he was still doing character voices, and I went into my AI and said, "Oh, I've got enough of Scott's content. I can go ahead and make AI sound like him." Well, now I'm stealing from Scott, right?
Right,
Whereas
but you don't have my permission.
Well, even if you gave me permission, I'd have to get it in legal contract saying, "Hey, this," and I should remunerate you.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case here, they have permission, so I'm not stealing anything from it. Or they're not stealing anything from anybody, because they're doing the voice.
Mm-hmm.
No.
They weren't hired to it. It's not their body of work that created this voice. In the case of James Earl Jones, who did create that body of work. So they've given the permission to use that body of work. So I'm with Chris on this one. They're not stealing anything, so they could just
I mean,
take the leap.
And they're not stealing anyone from the union voices either. Yes, you can replicate it, but you didn't have that job to begin with. It's not like you started working and then they replaced you. You just didn't have it to begin with. So,
and okay, this is where it kind of gets a little bit hairy. Like we do have friends who are in SAG-AFTRA. I apologize for my opinion, but again, like this is this man's legacy. Like it, like if there are just those characters that you can't ever, like, I don't ever want to see them replaced. Like, I don't ever want to see Doc Brown from Back to the Future replaced by anybody other than Christopher Lloyd. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. But since 1977 up until his death, this man was the embodiment of the voice of Darth Vader. Like, it is one of, like, James Earl Jones has done numerous films and other works, but the one thing that almost everybody recognizes him for is Darth Vader.
Right.
So
and Mufasa.
Mufasa. But
and Hunter October.
Oh, yes, but again, that character was later replaced by somebody else.
I know.
So, but again, like, it's his family, like, even was aware of this, and they were like, no, like, we want his legacy to live on basically forever through this character. So they gave the rights to do that. Like, they're like, use his voice, go ahead, use him forever. Which is funny because I also vaguely remember George Lucas getting kicked out of the Screen Actors Guild for not abiding by their rules when he made the first Star Wars. So, because that's one of the reasons why, like, George doesn't have an Oscar. So I understand that there are people that would love to have the job of being Darth Vader, but I'm sorry. No, that belongs to one person, and I hope it stays that way for the entirety of my lifetime.
I've got 2 points to make. And first is I would genuinely
have
like
to kill Chris. That was the ultimatum he gave.
Try.
I want to, like, genuinely have a conversation with somebody that is a member of SAG-AFTRA and ask, not to be, not to come across as a jerk when I ask this, but to be like, what if you were that person that voiced a character iconic for that many years, and you pass away? Are you okay with somebody else taking up the mantle and doing that, giving that work to somebody else, or is that your voice? You know what I mean? Because like flip the script. Like it
talk to John. We
should ask him. I don't know if he's a member of SAG-AFTRA. Sissy would be a good one to ask too, but I want to ask, because I'm not going to be as brazen as you, Chris, and say those words to this organization.
Because again, here's Sissy's work, but John has probably got the more prolific character.
John will fight you if you mention anybody else voice Nukem. Because again, that is a character that he has voiced from day one and has done every iteration of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I'm going to make this perfectly clear so I don't upset Sissy or anybody else from SAG-AFTRA. The problem is it's usually not the individuals in an organization, it's the organization as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I have many friends who belong to either one party or the other. I can have civil conversations with them, but when it comes to an actual like party or a union or some other corporate group as a whole that has ideas in one way, that pisses me off. But it's usually not the individual, it's the group as a whole or what they stand for.
Well, and the other point I want to make too is I think that the reason they're taking, and this is just me speculating, I don't know, but I would imagine that a big reason that they have an issue with this is because they don't want to set a precedent in the future. Not everybody is going to have the legacy of someone like James Earl Jones for the voice of Darth Vader. Not everybody's going to have the legacy of a John St. John for Duke Nukem. You know what I mean? Especially with how big of an industry it is now. You're going to have a character that's going to be voiced by many different people.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to set the precedent that it's okay to use AI to replicate that instead of giving work to somebody else. Technically, without reading I haven't read the contract. I don't know, but it sounds like technically speaking, this is a violation of SAG-AFTRA. They are in the right in terms of what is on paper, but I don't think that they expected this to be the situation. They didn't write that contract with James Earl Jones in mind for the voice of Darth Vader.
Well, here's the problem. What about pre-existing contracts? Because I'm pretty sure they gave the rights to his voice and AI prior to that contract with SAG-AFTRA being signed. So is it godfathered in over the fact that like this is this man's legacy, this is what we want to hold, and they're like, we made a brand new thing. So how does that hold up for future contracts? Like
I don't know.
So I'm just saying, like, say sometime down the road, somebody else writes a new contract that SAG-AFTRA wants, but it voids some of the other things that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, well, we didn't want that to happen. We're like, well, we didn't want James Earl Jones' voice replaced. So
but I mean, here's the thing too: is I've played. You guys know I play a lot of pinball games, and there's a lot of Star Wars pinball games on Pinball FX that do not use the original voice actors; they use imitators. It is close. But it's also very obvious to a purist like me that is not James Earl Jones doing the voice of Darth Vader in those little sound.
It doesn't have the full gravitas.
It doesn't. It's serviceable, but it's okay. So, and Aaron Hughes makes a comment here. He says, I grabbed the wrong one. He says, but if there really is anyone out there who is exactly the same as James Earl Jones, granted, AI also isn't perfect, but still, I personally would rather have a robot-y voice over someone who doesn't do it right.
I mean, Darth Vader.
I don't think that's what he's saying. He's saying like because AI is good.
I'm your father.
Sometimes you can tell when voice is AI as opposed to, oh, that's a recording of it. Although it's getting scary good. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff on TikTok. It's scary how accurate that it is getting, and I get it. But
let me toss an interesting question into this, and we can dive down this rabbit hole. Or you could say, "Oh, let's not go there."
No, go for it.
Have any of you seen the introduction of Google's VO3, where now you can do you and I as consumers can pay their monthly fee and do 8-second videos that now have voice, right? So now they're realism, they're cinematic in quality, and they have voice at the same time. And the lip sync from the examples I saw were almost spot on, and the voices were great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, which tells me, I think that we're probably about a year away from some of the higher ups at MGM and insert film company here or insert game company here to say, here's what I want you to do, AI. I want you to create this cutscene and that cutscene. I want it to look like Scott or Jake or Chris or Tracy or whatever else. And boom, they have it, voice and all. Mm-hmm. So you've now cut everybody out unless somebody with the power of like The Rock or the John Wick kind of power to say, you better make sure you have some sort of legal contract to use my image, my voice, or that kind of thing. Otherwise, it's just going to cut you out entirely, which is going to change not just the movie landscape, but the gaming landscape. Because I know the last few games I played, the in-between scenes were like watching a blockbuster up on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that's what SAG-AFTRA is worried about is taking away work. Not necessarily in this case. I don't think in this case they're super worried about we have people here that need to be doing the voice of Darth Vader. That's not how I take it anyway. I take it as if we let this one go without bringing it up, people are just going to think it's okay to do it with everything else, and
setting precedent.
Then it's really going to affect voice actors, and then they're just not going to be necessary, in the future. I think that's the concern.
There was a part in there about actually taking away the work, and as a union, you want to protect the jobs, and so if you set the precedence, AI is okay to use without fighting for other people's jobs, even if they don't have the jobs to begin with. That's getting rid of jobs that are even an idea. Like we need voice actors. Okay, well, we don't need voice actors. We need voices.
And it makes me, as a guy that is trying to narrate his first audiobook and hoping to crack into the voice actor market, it sounds like I'm picking a really horrible time to do it, because to Tracy's point, if things keep going the way they're going, then there's not going to be room for up and coming artists in this field. It's just going to be the ones that are already established.
Right. But that's what they're trying to protect, though. You know? But the next Darth Vader. And yes, at this point, he doesn't want anybody to be Darth Vader, but someone else is going to need to take up the mantle at some point.
There's got to be like an exception clause, like these characters are
well, that's exactly what I was about to say. There are other characters inside cinematic universes, and when it comes to live action film, like keep in mind, like Darth Vader, like James Earl Jones is not even the guy in the suit.
Right.
Never was.
That's James Prose. David Prose.
Yeah.
So like
David Prose.
There are other characters. There are other roles. As long as live action film exists, there are going to be roles available. If SAG, I'm going to say something bad.
I got to spot his comment here. Hang on, guys.
Yeah. If SAG-AFTRA wants more voice work, how about you talk to the Writers Guild about writing some new stuff in Hollywood rather than recycling the same things?
Dude, I had my finger on the button there. I really thought you were gonna.
Oh,
I think the problem with that is if you make it okay for certain characters to be AI and other characters need to be real. I mean, what's the argument going to be to keep the nobodies, actual speaking, rather than just making the nobodies nobody?
Oh, guys,
if the big ones can be nobody,
going down a rabbit hole.
Nobodies be nobody, right?
Yeah.
I got this comment from Sean Coates. I got to share with you guys. He says, could this mean that Troy Baker would be denied work if they use AI-powered Harrison Ford voice?
Harrison Ford signed off on his voice, signed off as his image being used with somebody else's voice.
Right.
It's fine.
So
it's also not AI generated, right? That is Harrison Ford saying this is okay, but
because that's still Harrison Ford's face.
Right, but this sounds like Epic went to the family and asked if they could use his voice. They said yes and whatever, but the union is still fighting for the jobs of other people, saying that they shouldn't be using AI. They should be using actual people.
They just wanted to be notified. They found out about it like we did. Oh, Darth Vader's in Fortnite and it's an AI generated voice.
Well, it's not only that. His family gave the rights to his voice for anything Darth Vader, not just video games, movies, TV series, audio clips. They don't care. They're like, please use his voice and honor his legacy and memory.
Right.
That's great, but there's also other ways to honor memories other than just continually using the same voice over and over again.
I mean,
and to play devil's advocate, they're going to make bank on it too.
Yeah, but I understand there's ways of there's ways to memorialize him, but at the same time, it's so iconic that to be replaced by anybody else, I'd be like, that's not him. It's like whenever they don't use Peter Cullen's voice for Optimus Prime, I'm like, that's not Peter Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, is when you have something so iconic, when you take it away, you're like, it doesn't feel or look right. It makes you feel dirty.
This is a tough one, because I remember going through this when Christopher Reeves first played Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Way back when I was younger, and of course we all know what happened to Christopher Reeves and how long any subsequent Superman movies were just shelved because this very reason. It's like, well, he was the iconic Superman of that era, at least to me. Right. Mm-hmm. And of course, there was the 60s, 50s and 60s Superman, just like the 50s and 60s Batman. But I think Christopher Reeves brought the Americana Superman to the big silver screen, and we all loved him. And there was a number of movies, and then bam, everything happens with him and it goes south, and he has this big fight and does well and then passes away. And it's like, how could we ever have another Superman? And eventually they finally did, and they did a very good job at it. And I actually like the Superman they were, I won't say replace him with, that is now, playing the part of Superman on the screen. And it was completely different, although it was the same character, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was about to say, I understand the current one, but the first one that they replaced him with, Brandon Routh, really?
Well, yeah.
I was like, ooh.
But like in the idea of like The Crow, Brandon Lee got shot and killed on set, and they honored his memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. They honored his memory by using CGI and putting his face over the next actor. So, but that was like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. It's a fine line to walk either way. It's just, I'm upset because it's just trying to destroy something from my childhood.
Yeah.
Well, no one cares about you, CB. We got to move on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. CB, what story you want to talk about quick?
Oh man.
Quick.
I was so prepped already. You know what? Street Fighter the movie.
All right.
Something new without Jean-Claude Van Damme or Raul Julia. But please.
Did they get okay from their families first?
Well, I mean, one of them's still alive.
I didn't even know this was happening.
This has been in the works for a while.
I saw that since 2023, and I did not realize it for some reason. But who's coming?
Well, for the love of God, please stop casting Jason Momoa in everything.
I mean, come on. He was in Minecraft, in this. What else? In Aquaman a few years ago.
The stupid commercials where he takes off his bicep and his hair.
Come on. A commercial?
But it just seems like he's everywhere. It's just like the 10 years of The Rock. I'm just like,
he's a beautiful man, dude.
He may be a beautiful man, but you know what? Why don't you give somebody else in Hollywood a chance?
Anyway,
other than that, they've also got WWE quote unquote superstar Roman Reigns.
Why do you say quote? I don't know. I don't follow.
I don't know any WWE, so I don't know if he actually is a superstar or not.
Hasn't he been like the reigning champion for like years or something?
Some nonsense.
Just be a regular star. He may not be a superstar.
They're all called superstars.
Whatever.
Right.
Andrew Koji from Bullet Train, which is a fun movie. Noah Centineo from Warfare, which I haven't seen yet, but I hear good things. But yeah, this movie's been around for a while, and the last Street Fighter we got was 1995, 1996.
Was it just the one movie?
Well, there was the one live action, and then there was an animated TV series and follow-up movie.
It's really weird you mentioned that. I started watching Time Cop last night for the first time, and holy cow, is that movie cheesy!
Oh yeah,
wow!
Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Rock of the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's the only other movie I've ever seen the girl from Ferris Bueller's Day Off in besides Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I will mention just very quickly is those 4 new games on Nintendo Switch Online: Survival Kids, Gradius, The Interstellar Assault, Kirby Star Stacker, and The Sword of Hope. That's actually some pretty solid deep cuts from that catalog. So if you are a Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass subscriber, you get those games added to your library as well. Before we move on to the new games we've been catching up on, or new games that we've been playing, rather, Jacob, what's new with R2V2?
Nothing new, but R2V2 tickets are still for sale. You can find them on eventbrite.com. You can search up R2V2, and yeah, they're still $10 for now. But soon the super early bird special will go away, leading to the early bird special, they'll be, I think, $13, but that will get you into the concert and the convention.
Very cool. So yeah, if you're not familiar, R2V2 is the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention, where we will have vendors selling games. We will have arcade cabinets for people to play. We're going to have developers there showing off games. We're going to have a live concert with 3 bands playing video game music. It's going to be a celebration of video games, and we hope you check it out at eventbrite.com is where you can purchase your tickets. Before they go up, get them while they are nice and cheap. Also want to remind everybody.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, I just said it with my nice dulcet tones, man.
His radio voice.
Everybody else about Patreon. If you'd like what you were hearing and would like to support the Gaming Outsider, you could do so at patreon.com/thegocast. For $3, that gets you 2 things. Number one, it gets you an ad-free version of each and every episode that we put out there. Plus, it will give you access to any bonus content that we do. And we did have one more episode of The Last of Us spoiler cast this week. I sat with John Davenport and talked about the season finale of The Last of Us on HBO, and it was a really good conversation. Hope you check that out. And we're going to have new episodes coming in the future on Patreon as well. Maybe some Break the Seal, maybe some Desert Island games. You get access to all of that at the $3 tier, and we hope that you do. Again, patreon.com/thegocast. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. Before we talk about the new games, I want to remind everybody about what is coming on the horizon that you can purchase in the next week. The big one is going to be the Switch 2 console release, which also includes Mario Kart World, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, also coming to PC on that one. Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4, also coming to PlayStation and PC, and a whole bunch of Switch 2 ports. I started typing them out on this list. I was like, I am not reading all of those names. Everything is getting ported to Switch 2. It's nuts. Also, Elden Ring Night Rain coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Deadly Quiet on PC on May 30th. June 2nd, Void Sayer coming to PC. June 3rd, Rise of Industry, Galactic Glitch, and Dagger Directive all coming to PC. And then on June 5th, outside of the Switch 2 releases, Etheria Restart on PC, Parallel Experiment on PC, The Red Bell's Lament on Switch, and lastly, June 6th, Ultra Mega Cats. Yes, you heard that correctly. Ultra Mega Cats coming to PC. Tracy, on this list, anything on here intrigue you?
Oh man, there's so many things. I think the one that catches my eye was the Elden Ring, but I don't know if I'm going to jump into that one just yet. I'm going to spend my time on D&D right now.
Those games are very difficult.
That's a good call.
they're very, very hard.
It's going to be a little bit faster than the D&D Online.
Yeah. What about you, CB?
Well, due to the fact that I won't be buying a Switch 2.
Really? Ever?
I'll find one eventually because I am still standing by. I think this thing's going to be a turd. Elden Ring Night Rain.
That's you like the original one, so yeah, I can.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Jake.
Rune Factory, actually. That's an old favorite of mine. It's a kind of like a farming simulator game with capturable creatures and stuff like that. But I think the little video you had posted on our stuff was just for all the women. So I was watching it going, did it turn into a dating sim? And no, it made me feel a little gross, but it's all good. I tried to stay away from all of the dating simulators because talking to women scare me.
How did you land Mindy? I don't understand.
I was drunk. I was drunk.
He didn't talk to her. She talked to him and just like, this is mine now.
Here's what's happening.
That's how it works.
You're going to buy me drinks. We're going to go out to dinner. And then in a couple years, you're going to marry me. Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't know this story, I was out for my birthday. I was drunk and I saw her across the bar and I went, oh, it caught me. That was my huge pickup line. That was
caught
it.
me.
She looked in my direction, and I was like, "Oh, you caught me."
Well, as for me, I will be buying a Switch 2. I've already paid for it. So I will be playing Mario Kart World on release, but I'm actually more excited about something that I am currently playing, which is Galactic Glitch. That's another one I played in early access last year, and the 1.0 release is on June 3rd. I've actually been given a code for the 1.0 release, and I'm already playing it and loving it, but you'll hear about that next week for sure.
Dang.
All right. So, Scott, tell me about digging a hole.
Well,
But
this
with
is
a
not
Shovel Knight.
this is not a game about digging a hole, which you guys talked about before, but this is actually a port. Chris Owens actually reviewed Shovel Knight Dig on Steam Deck for us last year. I played it for just a minute, and for whatever reason, it did not grab me. I think it was I did not like how it controlled on Steam Deck. I wasn't comfortable enough with the Steam Deck controls. And now that it's on Xbox, I am playing it there, but it is also available on Switch and PC, and PS5 as well. It comes from Yacht Club Games, and they provided me with a code. If you'd like to check it out, it is $24.99. This game is great, y'all. It is, if you're familiar with the Shovel Knight formula, CB, you might actually appreciate this one because there's very little platforming in this one.
I am not that bad of a platformer. Will you drop that? Good God, let it go.
Okay, so there's some platforming, so you might be
All
really
right.
good at it. No, but this is the Shovel Knight aesthetic. It's like all of the art looks very similar. Some of the enemies are even exactly the same, but instead of traveling from left to right like a typical Shovel Knight game, you are actually digging down and down and down and down to try to make your way to different checkpoints and eventually a boss.
And down.
And it actually winds up being a rogue like. So like you were going down collecting gems, using them to purchase upgrades when you get back, taking another turn in order to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And it is super addicting. I can't stop playing it. I am reviewing a stack of games, and this is the one that I really want to play. It does a really good job of a lot of the upgrades are hidden secrets. Like there are moments where like you'll just find a hidden crack in the wall and you click you dig at it, and it opens up this whole bonus area that does gives you a great upgrade for that run. Or there are things on the surface that they give you quests, and it's like go find this guy. He's this armorer. He's in a hot place, and so one of the levels that you get to is like a smelting factory or something, and so you have to find him there and do some kind of task, and now he's available for you to purchase armor up at the top. It's great. It's got the Shovel Knight charm. I am enjoying it, and the combat is pretty simple. Like swing your shovel or pogo him on top. It's great. The music is fantastic. Just like it just blows my mind how they keep putting out games with this character, and many of them are different types of games, and they all work to some degree. And I'm really happy for them.
But here's the thing: like it's simple to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's recognizable. So from a business standpoint, it's brilliant.
Right, but simple to play is a bit misleading because it's not an easy game. It is
No. Simple to play.
Yeah.
Difficult to master.
Gotcha. And there is a weirdly enough, I still like this game despite there being kind of a ticking clock. It's not like a visible clock, but they do the bubble thing where if you stay in one spot too long without digging down, this giant mechanical spinning wheel comes down and just starts digging through the dirt and forces you to keep going down and down and down. So you're always like constantly like, I got to keep moving, got to keep moving. And
but is it like a minute or like if you?
Oh no. I mean, you got to sit there for a good minute and a half before you start like getting remnants of it. It's not super quick, but it's
so it's basically just like, hey, you're playing a game. Maybe you should be playing the game or pause the game.
It does feel that way, yes. And then there are achievements as well to like do different things along the way to kind of unlock things. And one of them is to last 60 seconds against this thing. So you actually have to first off, you have to spawn it, and then you have to like dodge its attacks for 60 seconds without getting killed in order to unlock this one achievement. So it's just fun little things like that. There's always something to do. It's a great little game and highly recommended. If you're a fan of Mega Man or DuckTales, and you've never played Shovel Knight, first off, remedy that with the original Shovel Knight games are fantastic. But this is a great addition to the library where they've taken the rogue formula and made a lot of fun with it. Shovel Knight Dig. Highly recommend it.
Speaking of additions to libraries, Scott, you've added Haneda Girl to your Steam Deck?
Yes, there is this is the developer Studio Koba.
Do you like that segue? I love
No.
it.
Well,
That
I was
a
going to
good
say, I
segue.
like how you, instead
That was
of
a good
Haneda
segue.
Girl, you're like, Haneda Girl.
I didn't know how to pronounce that.
Haneda Girl, I believe is how you
Haneda.
pronounce it.
Haneda Girl.
This is the developer behind Naruto Boy, which I played on Xbox.
No, you had the question.
You made that up.
Yeah. No, I've played that same game, Scott. So yes, I know what you're talking about.
That's what it's not Haneda Boy, it's Naruto Boy.
Yeah, it's not Naruto Boy.
Correct.
That's a different thing.
And I was not a anyway, I played that one very little, but this one popped on my lap and I had to check it out. It's very pixel art, but it's very graphic pixel art. It's 2D, side scrolling left to right, but you play as a girl that is transported into the character that she's watching on TV, like the superhero character. So she becomes Haneda Girl. And so you're basically you're living her fantasies as this character. It's kind of like a little girl but her fantasies are very violent. Like you play as this tiny little character with a sword, and when you chop somebody up, it just explodes in digital pixelated gore, like anime style, like just blood spurting up. It's kind of crazy. And it is very much a get from point A to point B as stealthily and quickly as possible. So you don't have to do it's one of those games that gives you 3 stars that you have to do based on your performance. And the biggest performance is speed. Now you don't have to do it. You can completely avoid it. But you guys know me. I struggle
checklist
with anytime there's 3 stars. So
there's stars, I gotta get them.
But I'm not going to do it because in order to get those 3 stars, you have to beat the clock, and I have no interest in playing a game like this. It is a game where they're not. I would even call them levels. I feel like the word board is more precise here because it is a very bite-sized screen, and it's designed for you to go through and test the waters with it, figure it out. How am I going to avoid this camera? How am I going to avoid? How am I going to sneak behind this character to stab him from the back? How am I going to get over here, jump down here, and do it as quickly as possible without getting killed? And it's only a one-shot kill. Unless you have your robot buddy with you that you kind of ride around in a mech. There's so many moving parts in this game, guys. And the goal is to learn the level and then master the level by getting through it as quickly as possible without taking damage. And that's how you get the 3 stars. So for me personally, I enjoy going through the levels and figuring it out. I have zero interest in going back and trying to get more stars because it's just not what I have an interest in doing. Right. So Haneda Girl is, when it comes to recommending, it's difficult for me because it's not my style of game. I really thought it was going to be just a left to right or maybe even a gear gated type game, but this is a stage based game or a board based game that I appreciate, but I feel like other people will like it better than I will. If you like that fast paced melee combat, so there's some slight range combat as well, and like figuring out the most efficient way to make it through a level, this is going to be a game for you. If not, you might want to pass on it. Again, that is Haneda Girl, Studio Koba. They also published it and provided us a copy. It's $14.99 on Steam, and that's the only platform it's on right now. Before we move on, I got a couple other reviews to share with you. We had quite a stack of writers that came to join me, and you can hear those reviews right now. Thank you, everybody involved. Before we move on, I want to remind everybody about where you can follow the Gaming Outsider. If you like what you hear, would like to join in the community, do so at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. Also, our Discord server, it's in the show notes, like I mentioned. Drop us a review on Apple Podcasts if you get a chance, or whatever podcast app you choose. It helps us get the word out about what we're doing, and we would appreciate it. Lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our written content, all of our episodes, anything you need to know about R2V2, and pretty much anything video game related. We hope that you check it out at thegamingoutsider.com. And now it is time for us to move on to our From the Outside In topic. Our guest this week has his own podcast that helps entrepreneurs by giving advice about how to run a business. This seemed like a great opportunity to talk about times where we've had to run a business in a video game. This could be a shop built within a game or the entire game itself, like those shop simulators we talked about earlier. So, Tracy, you're obviously a businessman. Have you played any video games like this? And if not, do you think that this might be a good approach for someone to learn how a business works?
Like we were chatting about earlier, I did get into playing that Monopoly Tycoon. That one I enjoyed a lot, and there was some won't think of this as a business simulator, but some of those city building sims where you've got to build the whole city.
Oh, yeah, SimCity.
SimCity is a great example of that, where you've got to build the whole city and you've got to have the right amount of residential and high end, and you've got to build the shops, and oh, by the way, you got to give them jobs, and you may not have this resource, so you've got to do a deal with the next city over, and how much you're going to charge for taxes without running everybody out of town. There's a lesson for everybody out there that might be listening, by the way. So yeah, I've played a lot of those, over the years, and the ones that tend to stick with me are the ones that go deep. Here's one you might not, some of you may remember, roller coaster. There was a roller coaster simulator, and I loved that one. So what I did is I found that cheat code that gave you, you would put in $, $, $, and you could just fill your bank up. And that let me go around the park and just build all the crazy roller coasters that I wanted to build. So once I got that out of my system, then I just went and started going through the challenges, which is all about pleasing the customer. Sounds like a business, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to give them the right level of coaster, because not everyone likes the crazy, hair on fire roller coaster like me and my daughters do. Some of them like the more tranquil and chilling ones, where you're going to take on the ride through, Pirates of the Caribbean. So you got to have that balance, and you have to pay attention to what the customers are doing. And that one had a great monitor for watching what your visitors liked. Oh, I didn't like the food, or, they got off the roller coaster. All of a sudden, there's all those little green marks right at the exit park, the exit of your roller coaster, because, they're chucking the food they just bought over your food park right there. Put a trash can there, by the way, just so you know. Otherwise, they'll be telling you your park is dirty in the next review. So yeah, there's a lot of great ways to learn, and don't forget the bathrooms. There's a good point coming there.
Yeah, thanks, Sean Coates, for that comment.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ones. You don't have to look at something that's specifically a business simulator, because you're trying to build an ecosystem, like you were talking about. Was Elite Dangerous earlier? Mm-hmm. You're trying to build an ecosystem of sorts, whatever it might be, whether it's you're building a city, or you're building a roller coaster park, or you're building a universe. You're building something, and you've got to please somebody in the process to get money from them, get them to come back and start leveling up. I geek out on those kind of games.
I feel you. And as an educator myself, and a gamer, it should come as no surprise that I'm a big proponent of educational games. Unfortunately, I think the majority of educational games out there suck, because they are either not fun, or the education is just an afterthought. They have yet to really incorporate that. The closest I've come to a good game that works as education was a game called Prodigy, which is an online game that is basically a JRPG that kids in my school loved, absolutely loved, but they took it away from us, and public schools aren't allowed to use it anymore because of SOPA restrictions. But that's a whole other story. I actually, in my undergrad, I had to take a technology in the classroom class, and my final project for that was a presentation that I did, where I think that a video game should be created that teaches kids financial literacy. And it would start at the very beginning with younger kids doing the 3-jar method, but eventually working their way up to doing a budget once they get to high school, and then eventually running a business, where they are now not just working for somebody, but they're working for themselves and doing ways to bring in profits. And I just feel like that game could be massive It
Oh,
could
man.
it could evolve. It could be a thing that kids start with when they're in kindergarten and they just work their way up through their senior year and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And then even beyond, it becomes a thing where they are running a business and trying to compete with their friends and run a better business than their friends do.
You know, if you think of that as a business model, if you were the business that created that and got it out there, you would follow someone, you know, obviously from kindergarten all the way through, at least through high school. Then if you had the tools that mimicked the game, you know, like, you know, there's all these great checkbook balancers and all these tools that are QuickBooks, right? And those things like that. So now you have a tool like that. Oh, by the way, as you leave high school, here's our version of QuickBooks. Well, they're already loyal. They've known you for 12 years. Sure, why not? Now you have them for the next X number of years. So
I was thinking even further than that. I would just incorporate it and get a bank involved so that their software matches the software that we created, so that their checkbook balancing software and the things that they're doing to keep track of their accounts, they're already familiar with it because they've been using the interface on this software since kindergarten.
Yeah.
So
that was so smooth, Tracy. By the way, you solved the problem that we weren't even thinking of, and I know that's something you were talking about on your podcast.
That's what that's what entrepreneurs do.
To watch the process live.
Here's I was lucky enough in ninth grade. Yeah, they had schools back when I was a kid. But I went to a pretty cool school in Southern California, John Glenn High School, and I had this amazing business teacher. She was originally my typing teacher, and then she went to the school board and with this idea of a business class. And I was probably the second year that they did this class. And what you did is you went in there, and there were multiple roles, just like you would have in a business. Someone's got to run the payroll. Someone's got to run the marketing. Someone's got to run this and got to run that. And for a set period of time, it was like 6 to 8 weeks, that was your job. You ran the payroll while I ran marketing, and this person ran sales, and that person ran another. And then in 6 to 8 weeks, you rotated desks. Right. So you're running your classroom's mini business and you learned all the different pieces of it, not super in depth, but enough that if I came to you and I started talking business to you, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Did you think about this? You could actually answer questions and engage in a conversation. What made that lucky for me was I was that entrepreneurial kid that started, selling cards and creating D&D maps and going out and painting cars and installing stereos as a kid. And I turned it into a business because I learned little bitty nuances, thank God, through this teacher at my high school. So you could just take that, like you were saying, and turn it into a game. You're making it, you can make it fun. It's not a problem. It's easy enough to make these things fun as they're learning, so that when they get out of the game mode, their brain still, I could do that. That's pretty easy.
Right. I remember seeing that in the game before. I remember
exactly.
I remember what saving 10% of my money for something long term means, because I put it in this jar when I was in kindergarten. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I can't speak for the super young grades because I'm teaching 8th grade right now. But even when I was teaching 4th grade, we didn't teach anything about saving money, or when you earn money, what do you do with it? Where do you put it? It's just, I got this money. When can I spend it and how quickly can I spend it? Because nothing's being taught except for at home. And I think that would be a great way to get people into running their own business once they become adults.
They need to bring back like the school fundraisers.
Oh, they're still there.
Oh, yeah.
Not as much in this area.
They're selling chocolate bars and
but like, do you remember like we used
Christmas
to have those
wreaths.
big books like wrapping paper and like all the other stuff? Like, dude, bring that back.
Honey bears. That was a big thing when I was in 1st grade.
Here's the sad part about that. When I was a kid, I would not do those fundraisers. And my mom said, well, why don't you like your school? I love my school. I go to my school all the time, have a great time. I said, but why should I work for them?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you pay taxes for them. That's their job, and that's their revenue stream. I learned too much too early because of that class. I'm like, I'm not going to go out and hustle and then give them the rewards of that hustle. And if I win first place, I get what? You know,
a yo-yo.
I get a poster, right? Well, I can go buy the poster for $9.99 and hang it up myself. Thank you very much. So I went out and did the same effort in hustle and, you know, did the things I mentioned before. So yeah. And when computers first came out, I was all over those. I built my first computer from a Radio Shack kit, and went and earned the money and built it and learned to program BASIC. And yeah, it was fun.
Very cool. Let's go on and talk about some actual games. And we're going to start with games that actually have a shop built into them. It might not be the main crux of the game, but definitely has you playing the part of business owner for portions of it. You know, this isn't the simulators and stuff that are prevalent that we talked about. CB, did any come to mind for you, like where you're running a shop or doing a business within the game?
My list.
Oh, you have a list.
List.
I struggled for this one to come up with.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't at all. So we'll start with the sim games first. All the farming simulators. PC building simulators.
Well, those are the ones we're getting to. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about where that's the main thing of that game is to run a business. I'm talking about like where you're doing something else, and on the side you can run a business as well.
Oh, so like just shop in it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well,
you want like Fable 2, where you're okay.
Because that's the problem, is like the majority of the ones that, like, when you told me this, like the first ones that popped in my head is like the ones where you actually like run a business. Here's one that you don't think about just because it's so in depth: Jurassic World Evolution.
Yes.
Okay.
Because not only are you running the park, each one of the shops you can set prices in.
Yeah.
So you're running each one of those shops. Zoo Tycoon on
was good.
Xbox. That was a fun one because that was the same thing. You're building the whole park, but you're actually setting prices in each one of the little shops as well. Moonlighter, what was it? One of the Assassin's Creeds where you actually like building out your city.
I mean, that was.
I think it was
that in two.
It was 2 or Brotherhood. But it was one of those like
Brotherhood had the one where like you could send the Brotherhood out on missions to go get stuff and bring back.
But it was to get like additional money to buy more things.
Yeah.
But like if you spent your money in a certain way, you built your city out faster to earn more money to buy all the good stuff in the game.
You mentioned Moonlighter. I want to pause on that one for a second because that's the only one on my list that falls in this category of like it's not the main crux of the game. So Tracy, I know I assume you're not familiar with Moonlighter, but this is a game that is a dungeon crawler where you run through a dungeon, defeating enemies, trying to get to a boss, and instead of collecting gold along the way, you pick up trinkets that the enemies drop, and it's called Moonlighter because you take those trinkets and you go back to your town, and instead of just selling them for cash like you would in a normal game like this to get better equipment, you actually run a shop in the game where you have to put an item up for sale, but you don't have a clue as to what price you're going to set it for. So you just throw a number out there and you wait to see the reaction of the shoppers when they come look at it. They'll give you one of 3 reactions. Either this price is too good, this price is really bad, or this price is just right. And if it's really bad, if it's too low, then you need to make it cheaper. If it's really good, oh man, I put that price way too cheap. So I need to lower that price, or I need to raise that price a little bit to get more bang for my buck. So the crux of the game is to find that sweet spot of price in order to get the most money that you can to go on your next run and do this. I adore that game so much because it has a good mix.
It's a really good game.
It's a really great game. So
you guys are going to stick on these games now.
Well, that's good, but we're going to just write them down.
I've got a couple more. So Potion Craft, which is it's a potion making game first, but there's also a shop element to the side where you sell the potions that you make. And depending on like the strength of the potions or what potions because people will come to your shop looking for specific potions. and you have to learn how to craft them, but you can also make them stronger or weaker depending on what they want them to do.
Gotcha.
Because they would be like, I need a poison that will kill a man this way. And you're like, well, I can make you a poison, but and then there's also Brewmaster, which is the same thing with beer.
Okay.
So there's those. Now I have more when we go back to like the main crux of the game is.
All right, Jake, did you have any?
Sales Blazers is kind of like Moonlighter, except it's open world.
Okay.
So you're running around in a third person environment. You can get guns and all that kind of stuff. You hunt down different factions and you get their armor and stuff and pick it up and you bring it back to your shop. And instead of having like little trinkets or whatever, you have like full blown sets of like armor or fish you've caught or, you know, different things. And there's the people that come into your store expect a certain level of cleanliness, a certain level of environmental, you know, stuff in your store. It needs to be pretty. And then they're looking for something at a good price and they want to be happy while they're doing it. So you have to manage bathroom breaks and all that kind of stuff for your customers and whatever. So
don't forget the bathrooms.
I don't forget the bathrooms. They're a necessity. But yeah, it's I like that one a lot. That one is still in development and comes out with updates every now and then, but I'm at the max of it now. Now it's just basically going around the game and just collecting stuff just for the store. But there's a lot of exploration. There's a lot of bigger monsters that you need to take some effort to kill and whatnot for their stuff. But yeah, it's not based around the shop, but the shop is a big part of the game to get you to continue to go out and do things.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All right, Tracy, did you have any to add? I don't know.
No, those were the big ones I'd already played, were the ones I mentioned earlier. So yeah.
Okay. So now we'll get to the games that, you know, the entire point of the game is to run a business, and this is where CB's got another one.
Hang on, I looked a little further down my list. I had two more.
Okay.
That I added in that it's really hard, but to think about this other than Elite Dangerous. But EverQuest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft was actually studied by Congress because of its in-game economy. But EverQuest, like, you actually had to go and like this is in the days of dial-up and DSL, kids. You had to go and park your character in the marketplace, put the items up that you wanted to sell. So your character literally stood there with like all the like items in your inventory that you put up for sale. So like you're like log off and your market went and your shop went down.
So you had to like stay online.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So just imagine those early days in dial-up. Mom, you can't use the phone. I have my shop set up for EverQuest.
You get this.
You can't use the phone for the next 5 hours.
I got 3 more items to sell.
Right.
Oh man, I'm doing it overnight, like while I'm downloading a 3-minute trailer for a new game coming out. Like I literally did that.
I remember downloading like pictures to like print out of like, oh yeah, this like
just like a line by line it comes up.
I'm sorry. The way OpenAI is doing pictures right now, you see like one line of pixels at a time.
Yeah.
I miss the old 56K startup sound.
I don't.
That is a sound that like
it's an iconic sound, almost like that. You've got mail.
No. Right? The AOL Instant Messenger, like when somebody signed on, the door open and door close.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right, CB. Now you can get to your list. Games that are you're just full on running a business for the entire.
All the simulators ever, folks.
Yeah. I got one on my list.
Yeah, so Farming Simulator, my most recent one that I love playing, TCG Card Shop Simulator.
Yep.
Which, like, Tracy, if you want to talk about a game that's like super in depth, like that game goes like you lay out your store in such a way like to be like as efficient as possible, and like you can literally watch like as the people like come into the store and buy things, like they'll like go to the cheap area or the expensive area. If someone smells and comes into your store, like it will actually chase people out of the store.
Oh my goodness.
So like when I saw the tabletop simulator one, Like, I'm hoping it's as in-depth. It's made by a completely different company, so we'll see how it goes. But TCG doesn't, you don't do the staffing part of it really that much. It's just like you can hire somebody, but like you can't really work with the payroll part of it. Elite Dangerous, I did play the economy route for a while. It's hard. It's really hard because that game has so many people in it.
Yeah. Lots of competition.
Gas station simulator, supermarket simulator, PC building simulator. God, what are some of the other ones?
Lawn mowing simulator.
Lawn mowing simulator. I love and hate that game because I soft locked myself in that game, where like I can't continue because of what I did.
Okay.
It's so dumb. Like I can't mow any more lawns, but I don't have enough money to buy the lawnmower to mow the lawns. And because I don't have any extra stuff to sell, I can't sell the lawnmowers that I currently have to buy the lawnmower I need.
Just go type $, and you're fine, right?
Yeah, do that roller coaster.
Unfortunately. But also, Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2, those games are insane.
My daughter turned me onto that game, and she was like,
"It's so good."
Because she's over there, she's like, hunched over for a couple hours. Like, what are you doing? She draws a lot, so I thought she was drawing, and I looked over, and there's this whole layout, and I'm making dinosaurs. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she explained it. I'm like, oh, I gotta try this. And I was hooked, man.
the AI in that game is super in depth. Like if you make the paths too long between exhibits, they'll complain and your rating will go down.
Yes.
So like you have to put stuff in between the exhibits to like keep the people entertained. Otherwise they're like, no, like we don't like your park.
You just need a beacon every so many feet.
Right. Basically, well, like no, but it actually has to be something that they can interact with.
Yeah.
Like if you just put like a bathroom and a bathroom and a bathroom and a bathroom,
right?
There's too many bathrooms.
Always find something to complain about.
I want somebody to make though Jurassic World Evolution, but just an actual like design your own theme park.
Oh, just same mechanics, but a theme park instead of it being a dinosaur.
Yeah, dude, I love theme park mechanics. Like I want a theme park builder.
You can have your own.
That would be awesome. Those are fun to build.
I just want the roller coaster part. Like there was a kit I had when I was a kid. It was not Lego. It was not K'NEX, but it lets you build like these roller things. No, it was like super precise, man. It used like
Mega blocks.
It actually used the metal marbles. Like you would make tracks out of like these thin pieces of plastic. You would do 2 of them on there and clip them to the tracks, and then you would roll the ball and would do loops and do all.
I remember those. Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember what the brand was, but it was
K'NEX.
It was before K'NEX.
It was before K'NEX. It was like early 80s. I feel like when that came out. But anyway, CB, do you have any more on your list?
I mean, no. I'll let some other people because I mean, there's.
All right, Jake, what do you got?
So me and Mindy are actually playing a drug making game called Schedule 1.
What?
Yeah. So
like illegal, like narcotics, or
yes.
Schedule 1.
Schedule 1. So yeah, you go through the process of making various drugs, and the people that you're selling to have various wants and needs, and you have to make them certain ways to appease your customers up to a certain spot. I mentioned Sailblazers. Chris mentioned TCG card simulator shop, hydroponic farm and store simulator. That one's kind of weird. The potion shop simulator is just like all the other potion games. You make potions, blah, blah, sell them. This Grand Life 2 is not really a shop simulator, but it is a almost like Sims game where you are playing to just basically live. You can start off with nothing, or you can start off with everything, or not. And then you can just kind of have, it's time management with everything else. You can sleep on a park bench. You could sleep in a hobo community. You could buy the biggest, fanciest house you could ever think of. But I like it because right in the middle somewhere, you can open up your own business depending on what education route you went and all that kind of stuff. If you did, me personally, I did real estate. And so I opened up a real estate shop place. because I am a realtor, and so I wanted to see how it was done in the game, and it's all right. But there are the other games. You can open up a lemonade stand. You can open up just about any business in that game that you can think of, and again, it turns into time management and logistics over how you're going to get all of the stuff that your business needs, along with all of the stuff your family or you need to get done within the, I think it's they do month spans. So you start off the month with 720 hours, and then you have all of that time to figure out how you're going to get all of your needs met, all of your family needs met, and then still make enough money to pay rent and all that kind of stuff. And then once you start owning, getting into the business aspect of it, then you start like hiring people, and you need to deal with them, and they want raises or they're unhappy, and you need to put, office supplies in the offices and all that kind of nonsense. But I find enjoyment out of that one. King of Retail is another one that's kind of, you start with nothing, you get a little shop, you work your way around. First, in that one, you start off as basically a manager. You kind of run other people's shops, they pay you, and then you save up money to start your own shop. Then you have to balance customers' needs and wants with the product that you can buy online, figure out what should be in your store, what shouldn't be in your store, the placement of it, what kind of colors you want. People come in, they want certain things, maybe you don't have them, they just leave. So then you got to figure out, how much of something do I need in the store to survive the day? I say survive, but it's just selling or having enough through the day to meet needs. Old Market Simulator is kind of a farm simulator meets old world shop. People want certain things, so you go and grow those things. There's no way to get them outside of it. There is a small market that you can go to, but it requires a lot of money, and it's easier just to grow your own stuff. One of my favorite ones, though, I enjoy making the shops. I enjoy making people happy. I enjoy the struggle of figuring out what they need to do. My biggest thing, I even play all the factory games because I love logistics. And
you like setting up like if this, that thing kind of thing.
Right?
Satisfactory.
Satisfactory is crazy. Factorio is crazy. But Big Ambitions is a shop one. You start off with nothing. Your uncle's helping you. He helps you with your first shop. You figure it out. I think it's based in New York. And so the New York has very different districts in it based on the kind of businesses. And then the districts are split up into streets, and every street has different wants and needs and stuff. So you can open up a burger shop in one street and it will not do the same kind of business that it is in another street. So you have to set up even the same, like you can't just cookie cutter them into the different streets or the different districts. You have to figure out what those customers want differently than the other customers. And so I've got in that one several different businesses all wanting different things. And then on the logistics end of it, you can get shipments and stuff to a warehouse, and then from the warehouse you can send out supplies to your stores as needed to help you run through the day, or all that kind of stuff. It just allows for more storage, the same way that like every now and then you see that truck pull up to McDonald's and they're dropping off all the buns. That's kind of what you do on the outside of it. Once the store is running with employees and stuff, then you are dealing with all the back end stuff. So the logistics of that game is what really drives me for that one. But Scott, here's one. We were talking about Elite Dangerous. You're making businesses in games that don't have businesses.
Yeah.
In Skyrim, I figured out that I could buy weapons from people who are selling weapons, upgrade them, and sell them back for a profit. So nice. I would run a 3-day journey to go buy weapons and the metals that I could from these shop owners, and then make a better weapon out of them and then sell them back.
Nice. And that wasn't like the intention of the game, right?
That wasn't. No, it's Skyrim. You've played Skyrim.
I did the same thing. Buy out all the metals, smelt them, sell them, buy the metals back, make the weapons, and sell them.
You can kind of do something like that in DDO and Dungeons and Dragons Online, where there's a marketplace where you can sell your gear, any of your gear, whether it's stuff you'll never use again, or you could buy it, upgrade it, and then resell it if you can get access to some of the lesser available pieces of equipment or, materials. As Jake was talking, there was a game that I played way back when, and I was just looking it up. They've come up with a version 2 of it. It's called Capitalism,
yes.
which And that one goes deep into the business arena. You start as a small business owner, at least in the original version, and you build up into this empire. And as Jake was talking, the new version, even you can even do hostile takeovers, and there are stock market buys and pushes and plays that you can do. So I'm going to read a little bit more about that. I can't speak because I haven't played that one yet, but certainly it looks like one I will dive into to take a peek at, because that's the kind of thing I really like if it's in depth as it looked like.
Well, you got a lot of recommendations.
Yeah, I got a whole list to go on here now.
Yeah, right.
One of the other games that I like is Port Royale. It is a ship game based in basically Pirates of the Caribbean time, and you're in the the Bermudas and all that kind of stuff, and you're going from port to port to port. You buy here, sell here, build factories there, do that kind of stuff, and you basically start with just like this little rinky-dink boat to get from place to place, and then at the end of it, you're this like governor of one of the ports, and you have factories and you employ people, and it's really cool.
But you can also be a pirate and just steal and sell.
Yeah, you can absolutely be a pirate.
That's the best part about it. Be a pirate, steal everything, win capitalism.
Capitalism. What is steal? Steal is an acronym, right, for strategically reload. I forget what it's called.
What is it? Strategic transference of
economic.
It's strategically transfer something to an alternate location.
Yeah. Yes.
That's great.
Strategically transfer equipment to an alternate location. There you go.
CB, I've got 4 on my list that haven't been mentioned yet, and I am shocked that 3 of these were not mentioned by you.
Well, it's probably because my brain was just like, think of everything else.
Does it end in simulator? Because he said all simulators.
One of them does end in simulator, and that's Power Wash Simulator.
Hey, so-and-so brought that up.
I was more just like, I was there for the power washing.
so much thought. The other 2 kind of go hand in hand, but Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley. How did you not have those on your list?
Ooh, that's hard.
Mostly because the Stardew Valley side of it, I just dumped everything in the box and didn't care. I just wanted to grow my farm.
Okay. And the last one I've got is Cook Serve Delicious, which I played on PC, which is a restaurant simulation. But it is a really fun game because there is the business management aspect. Like you have to like set your menu and set your prices and all that. But the really fun part is serving your meals, because an order will come in and they have, they want their burger this specific way.
Right.
They want, and you have to, and each one is like a mini game of like grilling the burger. And then, while you're waiting for that to cook, then you can go like pour the drink that they want. And you've got 3 different soda flavors, and it's super fun, and and then you get really good at it. You get into like the Zen flow moment and you just feel really awesome. I really appreciate that game. What is the other one I was just thinking of? Does this count? What's the cooking one where you play with friends?
Overcooked?
No.
Overcooked doesn't count
because you don't get to set anything. You just
I know, but you're still running a restaurant. You're serving food. I don't know, but that's more of a game an excuse to punch your buddy in the shoulder. So that's what we thought about this week's topic. Let's talk and see what the community had to say. We just had 2 comments this week. First off, over on Facebook, Sean Coates said, Arcade Paradise easily comes to mind.
I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah. I enjoyed the idea of transforming a laundromat into a full-fledged arcade. The game can be challenging at first because, just like life, you have to strike a balance between responsibilities, doing people's laundry, and playtime, having various arcade games within the game. I did not play that one, but I've heard you talk highly of that one. My buddy Mike loves that game.
Actually, Tracy, that's one that you should really check.
I might have to check that one out, yeah.
Because it's a blending of like retro games.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can play like Pong in it and everything, but you build this like little arcade area behind your laundromat. And to get people to play the games more, you have to be like decently good at each of the games.
Mm-hmm.
So like
a high score.
You set the high score, and then people will come in and try to set the high score, but you raise the price on the games that you set the high score on, people pump more quarters into it.
Oh, nice.
More quarters equal more games. It becomes so fleshed out by the end that I think when I was done, I had like 80 games in my arcade or something
Holy
like
cow.
that.
And that's
Wow.
each arcade cabinet has an individual little game
Yeah,
for you to
like
play.
it's super in depth.
Yeah.
Wow. What was that one called again?
Arcade Paradise.
Arcade Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
I did actually buy that on. I bought that one tonight on that Sean Coates' comment.
Nice.
When you play it, Jake, let me know what you think, because there's a few tips and tricks I can give you on that one.
And our last comment comes from Thomas Bex. He says, I don't know if this is the best example, but running the sushi restaurant in Dave the Diver sure was a lot of fun. That's a perfect example, Thomas. For those not familiar, Dave the Diver has you spending the first part of the day going through the ocean fishing. Like you're scuba diving and spearing fish. And then at night, you come back and you run a sushi restaurant using the fish that you caught that day. And it's a great little, kind of like Moonlighter, where you're doing something like a dungeon exploration thing during the day, running a shop at night. And that game is delightful. That game is longer than I expected it to be, by the way. That was a good 25, 30 hours I put into that game. And when I got it, I thought it was going to be this quick little indie game. And man, that wound up being a lot. So did anybody else play Dave the Diver, or was that just me?
That was just you. And Zach.
Zach, it's a good little game, guys. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Well, that was our topic. Thanks to everybody that actually both people that wrote in with comments. That was a lot of fun. Next week's topic, we are going to be talking about taking notes in video games. Now,
we're getting back to this.
We were supposed to do this topic a couple weeks ago before Scott's internet decided to not work. So we had to put a pause on that one. We are going to come back to that one next week. I'm looking very excited. I'm very excited to talk about that one. So anytime that you played a game where you had to physically write something down or take notes on your phone, what are examples of that? So stay tuned on the socials. We would love to hear everybody's responses on that topic as well. That is going to do it for this week's The Gaming Outsider. Tracy, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being our guest.
It's been my pleasure listening to you guys riff and jumping in with you too.
Awesome. Well, where can our listeners follow you and your work?
You can find me, again, on all the podcast platforms, but the website, darkhorseschooling.com, will have the podcast, and all the socials should be up there. That's send them to one spot.
I like that you chose an easy to spell website, because nobody knows how to spell entrepreneur.
That was the reason why I went with schooling, even though the show is called Dark Horse Entrepreneur. It's like, I was like, how do you freaking spell this? So I went with schooling instead. I have both. I own both of the .coms, but I always send them to schooling so they don't miss. Of course, everyone knows how to spell entrepreneur. I know all your listeners do, but I didn't.
Gotcha.
No, no. When I went to look for it, I typed in entrepreneur, and
yes,
that did not work.
So Dark Horse Schooling is for the entry level. Dark Horse Entrepreneur is for the advanced course.
Right.
There you go.
The smart people.
Well, thanks everybody.
Those that can spell good.
Thanks everybody for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website, as always, is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegaminganswer.com. Tracy, you got any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Oh man, you gave way too many recommendations. I would just say, be you, right? Just whatever you're doing, whether you're playing a game or trying to start a business, just be you, my friends.
I love it. How about you, Jacob?
Don't twist your ankle.
I hear that's painful.
If you do that playing a game, we got to talk.
Especially the ankle that you tore 5 years ago or something like that, and it never recovered. So, yeah,
I've lost my racquetball partner for the foreseeable future.
Wow.
I have been hobbling around for the last couple of weeks.
All right.
Now you can take up boxing with me.
So be yourself, be healthy. CB, what do you got?
I
Well,
didn't
first off,
say anything about being healthy.
Quick Warhammer book update. I have 3 books left, and I will have the main story of the Horus Heresy done.
Oh, nice.
So 24 books down. But I have some movie recommendations.
All right.
And I went on a tear and watched some of the new stuff that's out in theaters.
Oh, okay.
Snooze Fest 2019. Snooze Fest. Rebirth.
I got 3 quick
Sleep
ones.
Again. Oh,
because I got 3 quick ones because I went and saw 3 movies. Thunderbolts. Okay. It's fun.
That was mine. That's actually what was on my list. What a surprise that was. Doesn't that feel like a return to form for Marvel?
It does. It's fun. People and the sad thing is it's like the second worst like performing MCU film.
Really?
Yeah, it's not doing well in the box office, but
I thought it was
damn
great.
is it fun.
Mm-hmm.
People were already done.
What a fun villain too.
Yeah. It is surprisingly fun.
Yes.
Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Wow, what a return to form.
Yeah, I hear it's super
dude, it's
gory.
so good.
Yeah.
And it ties everything together. And final appearance of Tony Todd.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yep. It's the last Tony Todd. And then of course I had to see the last Mission Impossible.
Don't give me any like
no. Yeah,
I'm not spoiling anything. Just I will say it is because we already know this is the final movie.
Yeah. Right. Final movie.
No, like they've said this is the final one. It is a fitting end.
Okay.
Nice. I'm happier with it than I was with No Time to the final Bond. Was it No Time to Die?
The final Bond? Was that
the final Daniel Craig Bond?
Oh yeah.
Bond.
Okay.
So
I didn't know what he said.
I will say Tom Cruise is showing his age.
Yeah. It's about time.
It is about time.
When he first showed up on scene, I was like, "Oh God, what happened, Tom? Like the serum finally wore off."
By the way, did you see Paul Rudd in the latest Switch 2 commercial? I'm like, finally, Paul Rudd is starting to look a little aged.
Well, I mean, you can really tell Tom's feeling it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, look what he's done to his body for the past.
Well, yeah.
It is fun. It is exciting. It is a fitting end, and I will always love seeing like Simon Pegg in anything.
I was going to ask that same question.
Aaron Hughes asked this comment. I saw this earlier this week too. Anyone see that the theater that had the roof cave in while screening Final Destination?
And
True story.
Actually, unfortunately, somebody did die.
Yes.
Oh man,
really awful. But like, how messed up is that? Like,
yeah, but
I feel like Final Destination has created a meme of like, if you see a log truck, I immediately think of Final Destination.
Pull back. Yeah.
I am happy to report though that the Final Destination Bloodlines does tie all of them together, and I believe there's going to be another one.
Right on.
I never watched all of those. I want to go through and watch.
They're all they're all in the account.
Are they? Okay. All right.
Yep. So they're all there. If there's not, just let me know because I can add it.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, that is it. Thanks again to Tracy and everybody that's listening. I did. I told you I had Thunderbolts.
Oh, okay.
You had to take one of mine. Yeah.
No music, no books, no TV shows,
no hair gel products.
No, I use cheap hair gel products, but that's it, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody. Until next week,
cigarette.
I'm Scott Clark with Jacob Gunderson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are the Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.